What does it mean to live with dignity? How can we achieve happiness? Is it possible to know the truth? These questions still concern us today. Antiquity gave birth to thinkers whose ideas still shape our understanding of reality. They didn't simply contemplate abstract concepts, they tried to understand how existence works, what morality means, and how a person should live with dignity. Socrates and the revolution of self-knowledge. The Athenian philosopher Socrates fundamentally changed the direction of philosophical thought. Before him, thinkers mainly studied the nature of the cosmos. Socrates turned to humanity. His famous phrase, "I know that I know nothing," was not coquetry or false modesty. This was a revolutionary idea that true wisdom begins with recognizing the limits of one's own knowledge. Socrates developed a method we call meutics, the art of giving birth to thoughts through questions. He didn't give ready answers, but helped his interlocutors reach conclusions independently. This approach proved so powerful that it's used in modern psychotherapy, pedagogy, and scientific research. Socrates' ethical views were based on the conviction that no one does evil consciously. If a person commits bad acts, it means they don't understand what good is. From this follows that education and self-knowledge can make a person more moral. This idea seems naive, but psychological research confirms the connection between education level and ethical behavior. Plato and the architecture of the ideal. Socrates' student Plato created the first systematic philosophical system in the history of Western thought. His theory of ideas explained why we can distinguish between beautiful and ugly, just and unjust, although in real life we rarely encounter ideal examples of these concepts. According to Plato, there are two levels of reality. What we see around us are merely shadows of true ideas that exist in a higher dimension. When we call something beautiful, we compare it with ideal beauty that our soul remembers from a past life. This theory may seem fantastical, but it explains humanity's amazing ability to recognize abstract concepts. Plato also developed the concept of an ideal state where philosopher kings rule, chosen not by birth or wealth, but by wisdom and moral qualities. He described in detail an education system that should form true leaders. Many of his ideas seem utopian, but the principles of meritocracy and the importance of education for governance remain relevant. Aristotle and the science of everything. Plato's student Aristotle went a different path. While his teacher sought perfection in the universe of ideas, Aristotle focused on studying the real world. He created logic as the science of correct thinking, laid the foundations of biology, physics, ethics, politics, and poetics. Aristotelian ethics is based on the concept of the golden mean. Virtues are located between two extremes. Courage lies between cowardice and reckless bravery, generosity between stinginess and wastefulness. This idea proved extremely fruitful and is used in modern psychology to describe healthy behavior. In politics, Aristotle analyzed different forms of government and concluded that the best is a mixed form that combines elements of monarchy, aristocracy, and democracy. His ideas influenced the creators of the American Constitution and other democratic systems, Epicurus and the philosophy of happiness. Epicurus proposed a radically different approach to life. He claimed that the goal of existence is happiness, which is achieved through pleasure. However, Epicurean pleasure has nothing in common with hedonism in the modern sense. Epicurus distinguished between kinetic pleasures, active satisfactions, and static pleasures, absence of pain and anxiety. True wisdom lies in the ability to choose the right pleasures. Short-term satisfaction that leads to long-term suffering isn't worth it. Instead, one should strive for simple joys that cause no harm and can last long. Epicurus also developed therapeutic philosophy that helped people get rid of fears. He claimed that one shouldn't fear the gods, they don't interfere in human life, death, after death we feel nothing, or pain, strong pain is short-lived, long-lasting pain is bearable. Zeno of Citium and the birth of Stoicism. The history of Stoicism began with a shipwreck. Zeno of Citium lost all his wealth when his trading ship sank near Athens. Instead of despair, he felt a strange relief. Fate itself had freed him from the burden of material concerns. In Athens, he heard philosophical lectures and realized his true path. Zeno founded a school near the painted colonnade, Stoa, on the Athenian agora. Hence the name, Stoicism. He synthesized the best of previous philosophical traditions. From the Cynics he took the idea of simplicity and independence from external circumstances, from the Heracliteans, the understanding of the cosmos as a rational whole, from the Socratics, the focus on ethical questions. Zeno developed the fundamental principle of Stoicism about living, according to nature. By nature, he did not mean biological instincts, but the cosmic reason, logos, that permeates everything that exists. A human being is part of this rational whole, therefore their task is to align their will with the will of the cosmos. This is not passive submission to fate, but active acceptance of the role that the universal reason has assigned to you. Zeno also introduced the concept of the sage, the ideal person who has achieved complete inner freedom. The sage does not obey emotions, but is not soulless either. He feels natural impulses, but does not allow them to govern his decisions. Such an ideal may seem unattainable, but Zeno believed that striving toward it makes life meaningful. Epictetus and the triumph of the human spirit. The life of Epictetus is the best example of how Stoic philosophy works under extreme conditions. Born a slave in Phrygia, he ended up in Rome, where he served as secretary to the influential freedman Epicurus. His master allowed him to attend philosophical lectures, but once, during a punishment, broke his leg. Epictetus remained crippled for life. When Emperor Domitian expelled all philosophers from Rome, Epictetus settled in Nicopolis, where he founded his own school. His lectures were recorded by his student Arian, thanks to whom we know the Discourses, and the short Enchiridion handbook. Epictetus developed the central Stoic idea of distinguishing between what depends on us and what does not. Some things are under our control, others are not. Under our control are opinion, aspiration, desire, aversion, in short, everything that is our own doing. Not under our control are the body, property, reputation, power, in short, everything that is not our own doing. This simple formula changes the entire perspective of life. Instead of futile attempts to control the uncontrollable, a person focuses on the only sphere of true power, their own thoughts and reactions. Epictetus compared this to the role of an actor in a theater. You do not choose the role, but you can play it flawlessly, whether it is the role of a king or a beggar. Epictetus paid special attention to working with impressions. Every emotion begins with a thought about some event. But between the event and the emotional reaction there is a pause in which we can evaluate our impression. Anger arises not because someone insulted us, but because we decided to perceive their words as an insult. By changing the impression, we change the emotion. Marcus Aurelius and philosophy on the throne. Marcus Aurelius is a unique case in history. Rarely have absolute power and deep philosophical reflection been combined in one person. The Roman emperor ruled the vast empire for 19 years but found time for daily reflections, which he recorded in his personal diary. Meditations, known as Thoughts to Myself, were not intended for publication. They are an intimate dialogue of the emperor with himself, an attempt to apply Stoic principles to specific life situations. Marcus Aurelius did not create abstract theories, but solved practical problems. As the ruler of a vast state, his reign fell on a difficult period. Constant wars on the borders, an epidemic of plague, internal uprisings. The emperor personally commanded the armies on the Danube, where he wrote a significant part of his reflections. In these conditions, Stoic philosophy was not an intellectual exercise but a means of survival. Marcus Aurelius developed the Stoic idea of the transience of everything that exists. Time is like a river with a swift current. No sooner has something appeared than it is already gone, no sooner has something passed than something else appears, and this too will pass. The awareness of temporality helped him not to cling either to successes or to failures. Particularly valuable are his reflections on how to treat people. Marcus Aurelius had power over millions but reminded himself that each person acts according to their own understanding of good. Even those who cause harm do so out of ignorance, not evil. Therefore, the emperor must be a patient teacher, not a strict judge. When you wake up in the morning, say to yourself, "The people I will have to deal with today will be meddlesome, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they do not know good from evil. But I, who have seen the nature of good, that it is beautiful, and the nature of evil, that it is ugly, and the nature of the wrongdoer himself, that he is my relative, not by blood or seed, but by reason and the divine part, I cannot be harmed by any of them. The living legacy of antiquity. The ancient philosophers did not think about creating beautiful theories. They gave us tools for understanding ourselves and the world. Socratic self-knowledge, Platonic idealism, Aristotelian analysis, Epicurean pursuit of happiness, and Stoic calm continue to shape modern thought. Their ideas turned out to be so universal that they transcend cultural and temporal boundaries. Psychologists apply Stoic methods, political scientists analyze Aristotelian concepts, educators use Socratic meutics. Antiquity lives on in every attempt to understand what it means to be human.